Howie Roseman just pulled the trigger on a move that changes everything for the Philadelphia offense. And honestly, it is exactly the kind of high-stakes gamble this team needed to take. We are talking about pure, unadulterated speed joining the ranks because Hollywood Brown is officially a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. If you thought this offense was already dangerous, you haven't seen anything yet. But the real story isn't just about one signing. It's about a massive domino effect involving a blockbuster trade between the Dolphins and the Broncos that has completely flipped the script on the A.J. Brown trade rumors. Is Howie Roseman a genius? Or is he playing a dangerous game with the locker room? We are breaking down the absolute madness happening at the NovaCare complex right now. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. The vibes in Philly right now are electric, but also a little bit confusing. For weeks, we have been staring at the wide receiver depth chart with a magnifying glass, wondering when the front office was going to stop sitting on its hands. After losing out on some key targets, fans were starting to get restless. But today, the silence was broken with two massive developments that changed the trajectory of the 2026 season. Howie Roseman's legendary patience is once again being put to the test. And while one move looks like a total masterclass, there is another glaring hole on this roster that has me absolutely stunned. We're talking about a position that could make or break this defense, and right now, it's looking like a total disaster zone. Let's get into the meat of it. We've all been waiting for the front office to find a legitimate wide receiver 3. The hunt has been desperate ever after Jahan Dotson packed his bags for Atlanta, and the Giants, of all teams, managed to swoop in and steal Darnell Mooney right out from under the Eagles' noses. It felt like a gut punch. But in classic fashion, the Birds had a secondary plan that might actually be better than the first one. They just inked former Chiefs speedster Hollywood Brown to a one-year deal worth up to $6. $5 million. Now, look at the numbers before you react. That up to part is the key. This isn't a massive cap-clogging contract. This is a team-friendly, incentive-heavy deal that protects the Eagles if he doesn't produce. It is a low-risk, high-reward move that fits the prove-it philosophy we've seen all offseason. Even in a year where the Chiefs' passing attack looked human, Brown still managed to haul in nearly 600 yards and 5 scores while being the focal point for every opposing defensive coordinator. In Philly, he won't be the focal point. He'll be the lightning strike that happens while defenses are hyper-focused on Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. But here's the real question. Is Hollywood Brown still that same terrifying deep threat we saw back in his Baltimore days? Maybe not exactly, but he doesn't need to be. He just needs to be better than a replacement-level player, and his ability to stretch the field is going to open up massive lanes for the run game. This signing has the new offensive coordinator's fingerprints all over it. They want to replicate that explosive, gadget style of play that makes modern offenses so hard to defend. Brown can play the slot, he can win on the outside, and he can absolutely burn a corner on a post route. Who's to blame for the Eagles' slow start to free agency? Or did Howie play this perfectly? Drop a name, or your take in the comments right now. If Hollywood Brown can even give the Eagles 80% of what he's capable of, they are getting a steal. Compare his $6, $5 million max deal and the $10 million guaranteed that Jahan Dotson just got from the Falcons. Howie basically just got a more explosive version of the same player for nearly half the price. It's a chess move in a league playing checkers. But as good as the Hollywood news is, the real earthquake happened when the Denver Broncos decided to mortgage their future for a different receiver, and it wasn't the one everyone expected. For the last 5 days, Eagles Twitter has been in a total meltdown. There were rumors flying everywhere that A.J. Brown was being shipped off to Denver. Insiders were dropping cryptic hints, and former players were going on national shows claiming a dynamic trade was imminent. The number 11 to the mile-high city narrative was picking up steam so fast it felt inevitable. But then, the news broke. Denver did trade for a star receiver, but it was Jaylen Waddle from the Miami Dolphins. The price tag for Waddle was absolutely insane. Denver sent a 2026 first-round pick, a third, and a fourth to Miami just to get Waddle and a late-round swap. Let that sink in. Jaylen Waddle, who hasn't touched 1,000 yards in years and has struggled to stay on the field for a full season. Just fetched a first-round pick and then some. This is the best news the Eagles could have received. Why? Because if Jaylen Waddle is worth a first and a third, then A.J. Brown is worth at least 2 first-round picks. Howie Roseman probably saw that trade and laughed. It effectively ended any realistic trade talks for A.J. because no team in their right mind is going to pay the Eagles tax now. If you wanted A.J. to stay, you're happy because his price tag just became untouchable. If you wanted him traded, you're happy because any potential return just doubled in value. It's a win-win scenario that keeps the Eagles in the driver's seat. But while the offense is looking like a powerhouse, the defense has a massive, gaping hole at the back end that nobody is talking about enough. Wait until you hear the latest on the safety situation, because it's getting weird. The safety position for the Philadelphia Eagles right now is, quite frankly, a mystery. I have no idea what the plan is.
It really dictates the defense.
Might not either. Right now, the only real starter on the roster is Mukuba. He's a second-year player coming off a brutal ankle injury that cut his rookie campaign short. I like the kid, and he showed flashes of being a real ball hawk, but you cannot go into a championship-caliber season with a sophomore coming off a major injury as your primary safety. It's defensive suicide. When Reed Blankenship walked away to Houston for $9 million, we all assumed there was a plan B. We thought a veteran would be signed immediately to steady the ship. Instead, silence. Total radio silence. This leaves the Eagles with 2 very risky options. They either have to burn the number 23 overall pick on a safety, which is historically not something this team likes to do, or they have to hope a rookie and a second-year player can somehow lead a Vic Fangio defense. That is a recipe for getting burned deep every single Sunday. There is one move that makes too much sense, and the fact that it hasn't happened yet is driving me crazy. Why is Marcus Epps still a free agent? When he was here, he was the definition of solid. He didn't make the flashy plays that end up on highlights, but he also didn't make the catastrophic mistakes that lose games. He knows the system, he's a veteran leader, and he would likely sign a cheap, 1-year deal to come back and compete. Bringing him back to mentor Mukuba and a potential rookie is a total no-brainer. The next few weeks are going to be a whirlwind. Between the draft and the post-June 1st trade window, this roster is going to look a lot different. Howie Roseman has built a reputation for having an ace up his sleeve, but the clock is ticking on this defense. Will the Hollywood Brown gamble pay off, or will the lack of a safety net in the secondary haunt this team in December? Would you like me to break down the top 3 safety prospects the Eagles might target in the first round of the draft?